Hi, I'm James Graham, CEO of ASX-listed Recce Pharmaceuticals Limited. Thanks to Wholesale Investor Small Cap Conference today, I've been invited to give a presentation on my experience in the world of entrepreneurialism and investing. I quite uniquely sit on both sides of the fence. I actually very much enjoy business, and I thought in that experience, although perhaps not as long as many here, I would talk about where I've come from, where I'm going, and some of the cold, hard truths of radical innovation and what I believe to be the opportunity of new medicine. So where have I come from? One of my first early stage experiences, of course, was really in the cold, hard face of angel investment. I was a committee member of the WA Business Angels, which is the earliest hope and a dream stage, if I call it, fundamental of investing. We, day in, day out, would be approached by wonderful technologies, passionate, if I call it, sometimes quite eclectic entrepreneurs across a large range of industries, of backgrounds, of ages, and of course of geographic market opportunities. In that experience, I invested in probably half a dozen or so companies, obviously all private stage. Some have worked out, some haven't. In fact, I'd say the ones that haven't have been the most valuable lessons overall. At the same time, and during that experience, we co-founded QuickBoats. QuickBoats was a folding boat technology company. It won many awards. We raised many millions of dollars for it. WA Innovator of the Year finalists, and you can look up the videos and bits and pieces in the background. But really what we did there is we looked to a challenged market model, and we sought to break that fundamental challenge of one of those industries, which is you got a good boat, you've only got as far as you can tow it, or as far as you can tow in regards to selling it as your local market. This was really unpacking that market challenge of distribution. So a pick and pack model, where of course a flat pack boat where you could tow the caravan, have it on the roof, store it in your garage, and distribute all around the world as around 40 of them in a sea container, really changed that broken paradigm of the boating industry. So as a company, it was successful across the many different metrics that one would consider success. We sold the company in around 2016. And around that stage of liquidity, which was a private sale as opposed to the many other stages we'll discuss, I utilised some of that capital to create or to be the first investor. I didn't create the technology, but the first investor in Recce Pharmaceuticals Limited. So in around that time, I met Dr. Graham Melrose, who was retired at the time. He had previously been head of Johnson & Johnson Research of Australasia of a decade. His experience was in polymeric chemistry, so really designing compounds with the end in mind and matching good products to major unmet medical need. Dr. Melrose actually had a previous company, which was the highest growth stock on the ASX each year for 3 years running. He retired when it was approximately $1 billion in valuation. And some 3 years after his retirement, the management at that time blew the company up. They completely changed the business model, which I believe to be the fundamental key to any good business, and the company went bust. So knowing Dr. Graham Melrose in the background, knowing what had really occurred there and his passion to challenge the broken business model of antibiotics, the challenge of antibiotic resistance, and the ability to, of course, create technology to match that unmet medical need, I supported Graham from both an investment side, but also a working alongside side. It's wrong to take or departmentalise in early stage, one role or another. I think everybody rolls their sleeves up, gets in there and gives it a go. So that was my early stage. I'm now the CEO of that company. I'm not technically a venture capitalist. I invest mostly for financial interest, yes, but really just something fun to do. I like business, and getting a stake in the game as an investment allows is something good fun for anyone. Now, as the CEO, we are an S&P ASX All Ords 500 company, meaning we're top 500 most valuable on the ASX. We're one of the best companies in regards to capital return on the ASX. We are a world leader in synthetic anti-infectives, and I work with an amazing team. I was only just the other day with Professor Fiona Wood in Perth. The privilege of what technology can bring can not only be, of course, financial return, but a wonderful life experience for all involved. So when we look at, or at least when I look at investments, there's, of course, the good book theory. Everybody loves theory. And here we talk about some of that theory, which I believe to be true. But I thought I'd also introduce, just with a grain of salt, a few cold, hard facts as to my experiences around such theory. For avoidance of doubt, this is not investment advice. This is just in my personal experience. So really, when assessing a opportunity, I look to it as a game of upside opportunity versus downside risk. Your downside risk is losing your money. Upside, or potentially being sued. Your upside is how many multiples of it can you get back, if ever. Fundamental behind it all is a unique technology. A Me Too product, you're only going to win by margin. It's otherwise extremely difficult. You've got to have a competitive advantage. The business model is fundamentally important. Business models essentially meaning margin when it gets through the distribution chain, direct to market, direct to consumer, distribution, so on and so forth. Intellectual property, a lot of emphasis on intellectual property depending on the various industries. In my background in pharmaceuticals, it is fundamental. It is the asset that has a transferable value. In some other industries, you can have a fantastically profitable business without any real intellectual property at all. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the nature of the industry. Deal terms, there's a suggestion of get the best price, best entry price. Lower the better is, of course, the insinuation there. As you'll see further in, I found in practice that not the best advice for all involved. Management history of success. Everybody likes to look at the management and go, oh, they've done it before, they can surely do it again. I'm a little skeptical as to that view. I think, once burnt as one can be through a failing is sometimes a lot less likely to make that same mistake again. Be conscious of future funding rounds. When I invest in an early stage, whatever it may be, I've often got a follow-on amount in my mind that I'll generally participate in. Anybody's dreaming to think that there won't be a future round. There almost always is. Independent valuation. For the lazy investor, some kind of external expert to tell them why the lay of the land, why this product could be very useful or similar is always good. Particularly enter as many competitions as you can. I found them to be inexpensive, if in fact generally free, and a wonderful market leverage opportunity. To be a finalist or to be a winner, everybody loves that. Bootstrap or an investor ride. Some people will come up with glorious ideas and expect you to pay for it. I don't think it's worth paying for anything if they won't pay for it themselves. Exits, typical trade sale, IPO or following round sell down. That's what one would normally look for. They're all good in theory. They're not so easy in practice. So just a couple of cold, hard facts. It will take twice as long and it will cost twice as much. It's just a fact. There's nothing wrong with that. The entrepreneur will say it won't. Best endeavour basis, of course. The investor will always find it will. So just be conscious of that with your following rounds. Deal terms, as I said, paying lower is not always better. If you squeeze too much equity from the entrepreneur as the time comes to commercialisation and things get tough, they'll do their value to opportunity and go, it's not worth my time, and they'll shut the thing down. Intellectual property, everyone's got a patent pending. Ask, is it granted or is it pending? And really assess whether it has opportunity to grant, because pending means nothing. The business model is fundamentally key. Ultimately, the entrepreneur will make something up. Don't expect them to actually know at the stage of asking such. It's all a best endeavour basis, but just have a gut feel as to whether there is such a business model available in due course. Independent valuation. If the valuer or if the person such as Professor so-and-so, an expert in whatever it is, if they knew anything about anything, they'd probably be doing it. Generally, they don't. They just talk about it. So either they are from a position of factual naivety when it comes to commercialisation of such, or there's some kind of vested interest in the background. As I mentioned earlier, management outstanding history of success. Statistically, the bigger the risk, the greater the opportunity. If anybody's taken a big risk and actually achieved anything, they probably have failed. And that's actually a good thing because there'll be some lessons that come from such. And I'd much rather back a failed loser. By example, Andrew Twiggy Forrest originally fell on his face in a very big way. Now he runs one of the most successful companies in the country, which was his very next venture, built upon the lessons he learned in the previous. I think that's an important part. Unique technology. The more unique, the more radical the innovation, the bigger the hurdles to market, more regulatory pressure, more lessons in manufacturing, more consumer considerations as to value and early adopter take up. It will just cost a lot more money, but it can also create a position of margin if done correctly. Don't be surprised if you get it wrong. It is hard. Future funding rounds, everybody will yell they'll get a grant. Very, very few get grants. Grants, in my experience, are generally reserved for disguised government spending. It's a cold, hard fact. I'd instead, rather than look to grants, consider what opportunities are available in diluting costs by way of R&D rebates. They're 43.5% backed from each dollar, very valuable to the company. I mentioned bootstrapping as key. And exits. I've got a lot of money in a lot of different things. On the books, it looks great. I couldn't get $1 from it if I wanted it tomorrow. You think of an IPO, you'll probably get a haircut going for the IPO itself, but you hope to make it up soon after the entry. You'll probably get escrowed for 12 to 24 months anyway when the hot air comes out of it, so you're kind of a little stuffed there too. Essentially, eyes wide open is the moral of the story here. Investing is a wonderful exercise. You get to work with great entrepreneurs and vice versa. And I do it regularly, but do it with your eyes wide open. And of course, you may just get the best outcome. So where that brings me, of course, is the opportunity I am part of now. And I have the privilege of leading Recce Pharmaceuticals, which is an ASX-listed company. We recently dual listed on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. And we are commercialising a new class of anti-infectives, anti-infectives being antibiotics and antivirals sitting under the umbrella of such. We have a qualified infectious disease designation awarded by the US FDA, independent market verification, very, very key. But what that really means, of course, is a 10-year market exclusivity above and beyond, another market validation and de-risking opportunity. We've established our manufacturing, we've got a whole lot of money, and we're delivering on our commercialisation journey. Why Recce? What do I like about it? If I say it, antibiotics are flawed. The business model is bust. The people are offering a forward, expecting a Porsche price, being the hospitals prepared to pay for such. No one will do it. So why do I find this area interesting and why did I initially invest? Well, really, everybody in the space has been doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome. 1 + 1 does not equal 3. So Big Pharma has essentially gone, we're not inventive enough. We'll let the little companies do it and we'll either acquire or license the technology as it comes to market. Stage of liquidity. The fundamental challenge of why the antibiotics are not valued as well is they don't do what they used to do. Gone are the days where you'd get, prescribed one antibiotic, take that and you'll get better. Now you get prescribed the same antibiotic and you've got to keep taking it to get the therapy that you so sought. The product no longer works. So the ineffective antibiotics is because of the mechanism of action that they no longer have. With a good product that has a unique mechanism of action that's able to work today and keep on working with repeated use is something that's very valuable, both, of course, to the patient and the health practitioner. So the ability to, of course, some of the market problems in our space is not form superbugs. Superbugs, what's good today, you use it a few times, is no longer good tomorrow. Our mechanism of action doesn't fall to that. Key risk mitigator and upside opportunity. Broad spectrum capability. Yeah, lots of different types of bacterial types and antivirals and similar. What's important, of course, is we focus only on unmet medical needs. And the reason we do that is because it's a essentially market monopolies. Unmet, meaning no product currently available. Significant patient population, of course, slight monopolies, and that, of course, is a key value driver. Ultimately, it's a balance of good for the consumer. Does it overcome the challenge that they're seeking? Good for the practitioner. Does it achieve what they're so seeking? Is it pharmacoeconomically reducing a challenge and threat? And of course, most importantly, will it have a future over a period of time? And in our case, the answer we believe to be yes. So I take it some background from Paul Kelly, of course, from little things, big things grow. And it takes time. Time value of money is key, yes, but if you fundamentally believe in the technology, you can stick with it and take advantage of sometimes of those lower valuations. Without giving away my entry point, we'll just consider from IPO stage of around 20 cents, trading currently at about $1.11. It's about a 470% increase, or a near on annualized annual percent of return, 100% of return. This is a good example of one of our upcoming studies. It's a phase I intravascular study. It's focused on sepsis, septicemia, or blood poisoning, which is the number one most expensive condition treated in health, double the second most expensive. Why do we point to Pew Charitable Trusts rather than us say it? An independent verification. But really for us, we're flattered because, of course, they say, as we've always said, we're the only drug for sepsis in the world, and we are the only synthetic antibiotic, which is an incredibly powerful and valuable position to be in. Investing versus entrepreneurialism. Both of them give you a little bit of access to great things. My privilege in recent times is working alongside smart people. I've got them all around me. I'm not the inventor. I don't have the science background, but the fundamental of good commerce remains the same. And here, Professor Fiona Wood, who's the former Australian of the Year and world leader in burn experts. She's utilising our compound on her vulnerable burns patient population in Western Australia as we speak. I get the privilege, of course, to lead these two clinical programs, which, if successful, can have real-world clinical insights as a sign of things to come in the fight against antibiotic resistance or superbugs. So as a fundamental, I really encourage to approach investment and entrepreneurialism with eyes wide open. It's okay to say no, but it's also very exciting to say yes and to participate in the many wonderful innovations and opportunities that exist in Australia and beyond. Thank you for listening. I've very much enjoyed sharing my experiences, and I look forward to you joining us over the time ahead.